Developer joy and developer productivity might seem like the opposite ends of a spectrum. However, developer productivity is deeply tied to developer experience, and having more fun at work can make us more productive. Hello, I'm Trisha Gee. Welcome to the Continuous Delivery channel, where we like to talk about topics that we care about as developers. If you care about these topics too, please subscribe to the channel. And of course, please press the like button if you enjoy this video. I feel very strongly that increasing developer productivity is not about demanding developers to work harder or to push through obstacles. I care a lot about this topic because I believe that getting what we need and what we want will also have the lovely upside of producing more and/or better code, features, or fixes for the organizations we work for. In this video, I'm going to talk about why we may enjoy our jobs, what sucks about being a developer, how to introduce more fun into our day, and why this is a good thing. Before I do that, I'd like to thank our sponsors, Equal Experts, Transfic, and Semaphore. These companies offer products and services which are well aligned to the topics we talk about here. Please click on the links in the description below to check them out. Should programming be fun? Why is it that many of us like coding? In the book The Mythical Man Month, Fred Brooks states 5 things which make programming enjoyable. Firstly, the sheer joy of making things. Secondly, the pleasure of making things that are useful to other people. Thirdly, the fascination of fashioning complex puzzle-like objects of interlocking moving parts and watching them work. Fourthly, the joy of always learning. And finally, the delight of working in such a tractable medium. I asked developers on social media why they like programming, and many of them gave replies which match these 5 things. I think we can agree that one or more of these points resonates with us and is why we find programming so interesting. So let's look at the flip side. Why do we hate our jobs? We hate our jobs, or at least don't enjoy them as much as we would like, because we have toil. Things like waiting for builds, things like struggling to write and debug automated tests, things like flaky tests, things like painful deployment processes, like trying to get containers to work when what we really want to be doing is writing code. And then there's the other stuff that's not coding, the other stuff that we sort of have to do in order to be an effective developer. Meetings, documentation, talking to users, code reviews, fighting with infrastructure, other. Many of these kinds of toil are also frog boiling activities. These are activities which perhaps are okay to begin with, our build time is kind of fine, our automated tests are only very occasionally flaky, and so on. But over time, the build times just get a little bit longer. It just gets a little bit more difficult to manage our Kubernetes stuff. We have a few more tests which are flaky. This adds to our frustration and erodes the fun of our job. So what can we do about it? My personal preference for solving some of these problems is tooling. For example, we can use AI to help write our code. It can help generate boring code or predictable code. I would argue it's also possible to use AI to take away some of the fun stuff that we like, as well as the toil. But we can use tools like AI to do some of the heavy lifting. Tools like IDEs and productivity tools can automate or speed up many of the frustrating activities. There are languages and frameworks that minimize the boilerplate and predictable code, so we can concentrate more on the fun stuff. Observability and data are also key for figuring out what we're really spending our time on and finding the time-consuming and wasteful activities. Often, we have a sensation that, oh my goodness, I just spend so much time in meetings. But it might not be the meetings that's killing you, but context switching from spending a lot of time going between different pull requests, or from being interrupted by repeated requests for help with debugging something, and so on. We need to measure, not guess, where our time is going so that we can effectively fix those problems. The second angle, which I think we should be concentrating equally hard on, or possibly more on, is how can we bring back the joy to our jobs? And surprisingly, one of the answers is to create boredom. This might seem odd because boredom is surely the opposite of fun. When my kids say, I'm bored, they're definitely not saying, I'm having fun, Mum. But creating boredom is very important. It creates space for us to breathe, for us to just let things simmer through our brains, to let ideas bubble up to the surface. There's science behind this. The default mode network is the part of the brain that's active when you're not focused on solving a problem or achieving something. And when you're using it, you're processing things in a different way. You've probably experienced this yourself. How many times has a solution to the problem you've been staring at all day come to you when you're in the shower? How many times have you had a bright idea when you're out for a run or you're in the gym? There are plenty of activities that can trigger the default mode network, like gardening, laundry, unloading the dishwasher. I appreciate that some of these activities require you to be at home, so it's more challenging to do them during the workday if you're not working from home. I like to knit. It keeps my hands busy and my brain on autopilot. I can also take my knitting almost anywhere with me. I do it on the plane or while I'm watching sport, for example. And with many of these activities, you have a double win. You not only free your brain to be creative or to have fun or to accidentally solve problems, you often have something useful at the end of it as well. Your garden is beautiful. You have new clothes that you've knitted. The dishwasher is finally empty. There's a double win. The boring stuff enables you to be creative, but it also gives you something helpful at the end of it. The key point here is that we shouldn't be cramming our days so full of stuff that we're always busy, or cramming our brains so full that we can't think. We actually need to embrace the dead time. We can use the dead time for problem solving, for thinking, for staring into space, for play. Play and fun have business value. There's been tons of studies on this. For example, piglet litters grow faster if they play more. There's a positive physical impact of playing with your siblings, with your friends, with your peers. Also, your brain at positive is 31% more productive than your brain at negative, neutral, or stressed. We all know this from experience, but it can lead to difficult conversations with your boss. I'm so busy doing so many things that I actually couldn't get anything done. What's surprising about this research is sometimes it's as simple as watching cat videos that makes you more productive. This study showed that those who watch funny videos were more productive than those who just moved from task to task. Research shows fun is good for business. On top of that, job satisfaction is the number one predictor of organizational performance. So, having fun at work, playing, making space to be creative is not introducing some level of waste. It's a double win. We feel better, we're more creative, and we're more productive. In fact, if we look at the SPACE framework for measuring developer productivity, SPACE has 5 different aspects to measure for developer productivity. And those aspects are satisfaction and well-being right at the top. Well, maybe it's because it begins with S and SPACE is a nice acronym. But satisfaction and well-being, performance, activity, communication and collaboration, efficiency and flow. When we talk about developer productivity, we often fall into the trap of looking at activity only. Commits, lines of code, pull requests, number of deploys, things like that, because those things are easy to measure. But that's only one aspect of quite a complicated picture around what makes a developer productive. One of the other very key aspects that makes a developer productive is their satisfaction. Satisfaction stems from those things Fred Brooks mentioned. It stems from the ability to solve problems. It stems from the ability to be creative. It stems from the ability to have fun and to play. Introducing fun into your workplace might be a difficult sell, but if you can have a conversation with your organization about making time for creativity in order to be more productive, then what you do with that time is entirely up to you. Thanks for watching. If you like the content here, please consider supporting us on Patreon.